It was one of those bitterly cold evenings when the wind cuts through your clothes no matter how many layers you wear. I had just finished my shift at the diner and was on my way home, dreaming of nothing more than a hot shower and a warm bed. The streets were nearly empty, with most people smart enough to stay indoors. But as I turned onto Fifth Avenue, I saw her. She was huddled against the side of a brick building, her knees pulled to her chest, trying to stay warm. Her coat was thin and tattered, barely more than a few scraps of fabric. Her face was buried in her arms, and her hair was a tangled mess that spilled over her shoulders. At first I thought about walking past. I'd seen homeless people before and ashamedly had learned to tune them out. But something about her stopped me. Maybe it was the way her small frame seemed so fragile in the harsh wind, or maybe it was the faint sobs I could hear as I got closer. I hesitated, then bent down. "Hey," I said softly. "Are you okay?" She didn't look up, but she shook her head. "Do you have anywhere to go?" I asked. She didn't answer, just hugged her knees tighter. My heart sank. I took off my coat, a heavy parka that had gotten me through the last few winters, and draped it over her shoulders. She flinched at first but then looked up at me, her eyes wide and filled with tears. "Take it," I said. "You need it more than I do." Her lips parted as if to protest, but she stayed silent. I noticed then how young she looked. She couldn't have been more than 18, maybe 19. Her face was pale and her cheeks were raw from the cold. There was something familiar about her, though I couldn't place it. "What's your name?" I asked. She hesitated, then whispered, "Anna?" "Anna," I repeated, kneeling so we were eye level. "Do you have family? Someone who can help you?" She shook her head, her eyes filling with tears again. "I don't know where they are." "Okay," I said gently. "Let's get you somewhere warm and we can figure it out from there." She hesitated but eventually nodded. I helped her to her feet and we walked to the diner where I worked. It wasn't much, but it was warm and I knew the owner wouldn't mind me bringing her in for a while. I made her a cup of hot cocoa and a plate of scrambled eggs, and she ate like she hadn't seen food in days. As she ate, I couldn't shake the feeling that I knew her from somewhere. Her features were hauntingly familiar, the shape of her eyes, the curve of her jaw. And then it hit me like a freight train. "Anna," I said slowly, my voice trembling. "What's your last name?" She looked up at me confused. "Why?" "Please," I said, leaning forward. "Just tell me." She hesitated, then murmured, "Lewis." I felt the air leave my lungs. My hands started to shake and I had to grip the edge of the table to steady myself. "Anna Lewis," I whispered. She nodded, her brow furrowing. "How do you know that?" Tears filled my eyes as I reached into my wallet and pulled out an old, faded photo. It was a picture of me and my little sister Anna, taken years ago before she disappeared. She was only 10 in the photo, smiling brightly with her arm around me. I slid the photo across the table to her. Her eyes widened as she stared at it. That's me," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Anna," I said, my voice breaking. "It's me. It's Jack. I'm your brother." Her hand flew to her mouth and tears streamed down her face. "Jack," she choked out. I nodded, unable to speak. In an instant, she was out of her chair and in my arms, sobbing uncontrollably. I held her tightly, my own tears falling freely. After all these years, I had finally found her. We sat there for a long time, holding each other and crying. When she finally calmed down, she told me her story. After our parents died in a car accident, Anna had been placed in foster care. The system had failed her, bouncing her from one home to another until she ran away at 16. She'd been living on the streets ever since, struggling to survive. "I thought I'd never see you again," she said, her voice trembling. "I've been looking for you," I said. "Ever since you disappeared, I've been searching. I never gave up hope." That night, I took Anna home with me. I gave her the guest room and made sure she had everything she needed. Over the next few weeks, I helped her get back on her feet. We got her new clothes, a proper ID, and started looking into therapy to help her deal with everything she'd been through. But more than anything, we reconnected. We talked for hours, sharing memories of our childhood and catching up on all the years we'd missed. It wasn't easy. There were a lot of wounds to heal, both hers and mine. But we faced it together as siblings should. Finding Anna was the most unexpected and miraculous thing that ever happened to me. It reminded me that no matter how dark things get, there's always a chance for light to break through. And as I watched her smile and laugh again, I knew one thing for sure: I would never let her go again. If this story touched your heart and kept you engaged, please take a moment to support us. Like this video to show your love, comment below to share your thoughts or your own stories. We'd love to hear from you. Share this video with friends and family. You never know who might need to hear this story today. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on more heartwarming and inspiring stories. Your support helps us create meaningful content, and we're so grateful to have you here. Thank you for being part of our community.